When Yuki hits the wall, it's not the greatest lap of all, that's Red Bull. Here's the 5 things that we've learned from the 2 practice sessions in Saudi Arabia. Welcome to Quick Stop F1. My name is Nyasha and you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. If you're watching this video, make sure to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel on the road to 6,000. Can you help us? Much appreciated. Now, let's get into the 5 things we learned from an interesting Friday out in Saudi Arabia. Yuki Tsunoda. Oh, we were rooting for you. Yuki Tsunoda paid the price for clipping the inside wall at the final corner in Saudi Arabia in Jeddah and promptly ended up in the wall, causing the second session to end early and curtail a lot of the long runs we were due to see, which were kind of like in the middle of happening at that point. Not great for Yuki. Now, obviously, it's not a crash which Karun Chandok was at pains to say shouldn't hurt his confidence. However, Yuki, around 4/10 of Max Verstappen in terms of quickest lap times during that session, seemed to be getting into a groove, and it's not something that he would have wanted in his quest to try and keep that Red Bull seat. We all know the pressure he's under to make sure that he's there or thereabouts with Max, and you would think that a crash at the end of practice would not help. However, really and truly, someone was going to do it. I mean, everyone seemed to be flirting with death at that wall. And it evoked memories, of course, of Max Verstappen's greatest lap of all time. Guys, do you remember that lap? Surely you remember that lap. The greatest lap of all time. Let me take you back. Saudi Arabia, 2021. The title's on the line. What's Max going to do? Needs to put it on pole position just to make sure he keeps off a Lewis Hamilton who's bearing down on him in the championships like a little monster. I'm coming for you, Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen looking behind him. Cacking his pants. What's he going to do? Sector 1 is up. Sector 2 is up. Oh my God, there's so much purple. You're thinking it's Prince out there. Purple rain in this bitch. Although the only thing that's raining down is shrapnel. When he hits the wall, he crashes out. And it's almost been mythologized, that lap. And it was just crazy to see a Red Bull in the wall at the last corner. Obviously, look, the stakes are a lot lower, but it does invoke those memories, doesn't it? For what it's worth, Verstappen quite quick today. Red Bull not seeming to have the troubles that they had last time out in Bahrain. So maybe points to a narrow operating window. Is it track specific? You know, they went well in Japan, which, you know, parts of this circuit are kind of modeled on Japan. So maybe this circuit will be more suited to them than Bahrain was. However, still a long way off the Mclaren, who we will get into right now. If you're going to bet on anyone, bet on a Mclaren. Guys. The thing is, I feel like we say this every race, and then one of them, Lando, seems to mess up. However, let's give props where it's due. Lando looks like being the quickest McLaren this weekend, on a weekend where he needs to be quick. He needs to be quicker than Oscar to wrestle back. Momentum is a crazy thing in Formula One. After the first race of the season, people were ready to crown Lando as the 2025 World Drivers' Champion. We were saying it's a new Lando, new and improved. The pressure that he was under in the most difficult of conditions out in Melbourne seemed to point to a new and improved Lando with a stronger centre foundation. However, that centre and foundation seems to be like the middle of an Oreo. Seems to be like the middle of a Turkish delight. Can I just say, actually, whilst we're here, Turkish delights, for me, not for me. Turkish delights are actually like, I want to call them Turkish butters, because they're fucking butters. They're awful. Like, do you know what I mean? Turkish delights are like What are those things? Someone gives them to you or they're offered. They're normally just about. No one ever buys a Turkish delight. It's just about. It's just something that's there. Someone's got it. Functions that they're there. They're in the box of fucking biscuits or cakes. What is it? Is it a biscuit? Is it a cake? Obviously, it's a biscuit. No, it's a cake. But I'm just saying, I'm not a fan of Turkish delights. And I'm not a fan of Lando Norris's form since Melbourne. Up and down, and we're seeing that soft marshmallowy centre come to the fore. But I think now, and maybe myself included, we kind of just need to accept this as Lando's kind of personality trait. And I think maybe before, it's easy to look at someone, and I think Seb Vettel came out this weekend and said something similar around it should be encouraged for Lando to be open about how he's feeling. That isn't a bad thing, and it shouldn't be seen as weakness. And you know what, maybe me myself, I have looked at that as a weakness, and you shouldn't look at it as a weakness. Now, because let's say, for example, on the other end, let's say so. Let's not mention Max. Let's say someone like Fernando, who always quite stoic, quite reserved, but obviously there's almost like this steely kind of I guess win at all costs thing and show no weakness to your opponent, and that's seen as a strength. But Lando Norris being in touch with his emotions is almost seen as a weakness. But there's no denying this guy is a quick driver. Does he make mistakes? Yes, he does, I guess. But, who doesn't make mistakes on that grid, to be honest? Who is a flawless F1 driver on that grid? I don't think there is any, to be honest, in terms of if you look at, I don't think that, there's no such thing as a perfect Formula One driver. So, look, let's see. This weekend could be really important for Lando, really important for him to arrest the momentum that Oscar has taken this weekend, this season since Melbourne. And it'll be interesting to see, can he carry this pace into tomorrow? Can he put this car on pole and disappear up the road, much like Oscar did last time out in Bahrain? Lewis still seems like he's struggling with that Ferrari. After a last race out in Bahrain, which was encouraging, coming up from, I want to say 9th until up to 5th place, Lewis Hamilton kind of came out in the press and said, I think I know what I need to do. I think I know the areas where I need to improve. I think I've gone through all of the different types of setup changes that I possibly can do. And I guess if there was a circuit that you wouldn't want to go into, not really feeling 100% confident in the car, I would probably say Saudi Arabia, Jeddah is probably top 5 on those types of circuits, just because of the pinpoint accuracy needed, the high speed corners, and even the braking needed when you're coming down from such high speed, something which Lewis Hamilton has been struggling with in his Ferrari. The gap to Charles is still quite large. But again, it's practice. One. In the words of Dennis Rodman, we're talking about practice. Okay, so we can't read too much into this. And as long as someone is building up through a weekend, we'll see. However, the gap to Charles, who seems to be starting to be semi-consistent in that area between, I guess, the Mercedes and then Red Bull McLaren. So between the McLarens and then Red Bull Mercedes, and he seems to be in and around there. And I guess the challenge for Lewis this season is to work his way as the season progresses into that same area of Charles where, look, I don't think the Ferrari is ever going to be as quick as the McLarens, but can he get it to a point where he's up there within a couple of tenths of Charles? Let's see how it goes tomorrow. It's not been that great today, but it's practice. We can't get too ahead of ourselves at practice. Look out for a midfield surprise this weekend. Well, look, Charles. Well, look, Carlos Sainz came out this weekend and said the fact that he was fighting with cars which were definitely faster than him may have jeopardized his long-run pace in Bahrain, leading to him falling down the pecking order. And he said that he had to realize that he might not actually be fighting at the front anymore. To that I say, Carlos, what did you think you were signing for? You know, we saw it in Drive to Survive, and it was kind of fanning around like, oh God, do I sign here? Do I sign here? And I don't know if, like, as part of his, like, disassociation from having to leave Ferrari, it was like, I am going to a top team. I am going to a top team, ruffling the gorgeous strands of his Latin brown hair, Prince Charming that he is, my little Disney prince, you know. But it just seems like maybe there's not much behind the eyes, because, Carlos, you drive a Williams car. You know? I don't know what else to say to you. However, what he did manage to do this session was drive relatively well. The Williams looks pretty strong here, as does the Alpine of Pierre Gasly. So, if we're talking about those last couple of spots, if I was a betting man, I would say Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly for those last two spots outside of the top 4 teams. I would bet on them to get into the top 10. Now I'm the thick one, because I'm counting like 4 by 2. What does that equal? 8. 10 minus 8 equals 2. Yeah. People in glass houses. Expect there to be disruption tomorrow in qualifying. Look, guys, I don't know what to say to you, but this track is mad. Like, it's dangerous. It's Monaco on PEDs. And I say that because there's so many blind corners. We've seen Hamilton in an incident with Albon holding him up. We've seen so much traffic caused by people on out laps, on warm down laps, and then people on quick laps as well, going through blind corners. You can expect, especially in Q1 tomorrow, maybe there could be a big name exit as a red flag comes out, much in the way it came out today with Yuki Tsunoda, and that timing being cut short for people to complete their laps. So expect people to go out early and try and put a banker in each session, knowing that potentially someone might put it in a wall, someone might have an accident, or you just might be held up by someone, or you might not be able to get a good piece of tarmac due to traffic. So keep an eye out for that. Right, well, that's your lot. 5 things that we've learned from practice today. If you like that, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Please give the video a like, it super helps. And let me know below what your comments are, what your predictions are for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And until then, remember, no matter what life throws at you, keep it on the black stuff. Until next time, take care.